So you finally decided to do something about that IRS tax debt. Congrats. You've heard about the Offer and Compromise program where you can settle your tax debt for less than you actually owe. And you just recently learned through one of my videos that there's the possibility of getting rid of IRS tax debt through bankruptcy. But which one is better for you in your particular situation? OIC or bankruptcy? That's the topic of today's video. We're going to look at 7 particular situations or scenarios and consider which one is better, OIC or bankruptcy, on the other side of the break.
1877 Levy King, Levy Levy King, 1877 Levy King, LevyKing.com.
What's up, YouTube? Corey Hankerson here from Legacy Tax, and they call me the Levy King because I've helped thousands of people with IRS tax debt, liens, levies, garnishments, unfiled returns, you name it. The IRS took your check, call the Levy King. I'll get it back. 1877 Levy King, LevyKing.com. I'm also the author of End the Tax Nightmare, Insider Secrets to Beat the IRS and Reduce Your Tax Debt. And I want to give you a free copy of my book. All you got to do is go over to www.endthetaxnightmare.com, type in your name, your email address, and I'll get you a copy of the book for free. That's it. No strings attached. For free. Not even shipping. I'm just going to send you a copy of the book. Inside the book, you're going to learn how to set up the payment plan that you want, not the one that they want. How to get rid of tax liens, levies, and wage garnishments, even if you can't afford to pay the entire tax that's due. And finally, you're going to learn how you can potentially settle your tax debt for less than you actually owe. So I want you to just jump on over to endthetaxnightmare.com, plug in your information, and we'll get you a copy of the book. So now I'm going to give you 7 possible scenarios that I've seen in my tax resolution practice, and I'm going to show you a really brief analysis as to which one of these 2 remedies, whether offer and compromise or bankruptcy, might be best for you in your situation. Now, just like in my previous video, I want to say again that Legacy Tax is a nationwide tax resolution firm. We don't do bankruptcy cases, but this video is presented for informational purposes only, just so that you can sort of have this information in your back pocket when you actually do sit down with your local bankruptcy attorney in your area, right? I want you to be aware of these potential scenarios because I find that a lot of bankruptcy attorneys don't know tax, right? They don't know specifically tax resolution. And even many tax attorneys don't actually know tax resolution because it's not required on any bar exam anywhere in the state. You know, throughout my time in law school, I was never actually required to take a tax course. Now, I did take some because I knew that this is the field that I wanted to go in. But tax is not required in any law school because it's not on any bar exam. And even those tax attorneys who do obviously take a lot of tax courses, most of them study tax as it relates to estate planning, right? Which is preparing wills and trusts and other instruments for wealthy individuals to reduce the tax that they owe. Or they'll spend their practice studying tax planning strategies to help big corporations reduce their overall tax burden, right? Very few tax attorneys out there, relatively few, relative to the number of attorneys that there actually are, study tax law as it relates to helping individuals with IRS tax problems. And that's what we're talking about here. How to solve an IRS tax problem. Is an offer and compromise the best way for you to go, or is a bankruptcy the best way for you to go? So here are 7 scenarios, and we're going to take a look at each one of them and analyze them in order. Okay, so the first thing to think about is whether or not you have other debts, right? Scenario number 1, do you have other debts? So yes, you owe back taxes, but do you also owe, are you also late on your mortgage? Do you also owe credit cards or hospital bills, student loans? Have you paid your car note? Do you have all these other bills that are outstanding in addition to the IRS tax problem that you have? If so, then an offer and compromise isn't really going to help you with all of those other things. You really want to give some consideration to a bankruptcy as a remedy to solve those problems. And if your tax debt is dischargeable in bankruptcy, you certainly want to consider bankruptcy and perhaps look away from the offer and compromise. The second scenario, or the second issue here, is payroll taxes, right? A lot of tax clients are in this situation because they owe taxes related to their business. If you owe payroll taxes, sales taxes, or any other type of IRS penalties related to fraud, those are not dischargeable in a bankruptcy. So you certainly want to consider an offer in compromise if those types of tax problems are your motivation for watching this video. The next thing is your debt too new, right? To understand what I mean by your debt being too new, I want you to look at my previous video, Can I File Bankruptcy on IRS Back Taxes, and really walk and follow me as I walk through the analysis on whether you can discharge tax debt in bankruptcy. Essentially, it has to be old enough, right? If the debt is too new, then you're not going to be able to discharge it, even if it were otherwise dischargeable, okay? The fourth scenario here is, are you in an emergency situation? What I mean by that, a good example that I had in my practice last year was when we had a client whom the IRS had served a levy notice on their bank. And the IRS was about to take all of the money out of their bank account to satisfy the tax balance that they owed. Well, this particular client had money in that account that was desperately needed, for just general living situation. They couldn't do without the money, and they had no other source of funds coming in that they would use to replace that money. And the IRS was not willing to work with them to resolve the levy notice that they served on the bank. So for this particular client, we went ahead and referred them to a bankruptcy attorney, right? So if you're in an emergency situation like that, then perhaps a bankruptcy is a solution for you. An offer in compromise would take too long to resolve an emergency situation such as the one we just mentioned. And certainly, if you have other emergency situations in your life, like foreclosures or car repossessions, evictions, or something like that, those are all emergencies in my book. But an offer in compromise or any other type of tax resolution solution is not going to solve that problem. So you certainly want to consider consulting with a bankruptcy attorney. The next one here is, how's your credit, right? If you have good credit and you care about your credit, then you probably want to consider an offer in compromise and maybe not a bankruptcy, right? On the other hand, if your credit is already shot because you've been late on other bills or for whatever reason, life got in the way and damaged your credit, then perhaps a bankruptcy is the right way to go. And if your tax debt, again, is dischargeable, then a bankruptcy might be something that you consider when you sit down and talk to a bankruptcy attorney. The next thing here, scenario number 6, is home equity, right? Now, this is a tricky one, okay? And it's going to be, that alone is worthy of a conversation with a bankruptcy attorney. If you have a lot of equity in your house, and you want to keep the home, then a bankruptcy is something that you should consider, because having a lot of home equity is typically one of the things that will blow up an offer in compromise. It makes it difficult sometimes to get an offer if you've got a lot of equity in your house, particularly if the house is not your primary residence and you got a lot of equity there. That's going to be a problem. On the other hand, if you don't have a lot of home equity in your home, or maybe if you don't own a home, or if you're not necessarily interested, well, just stick with those two. If you don't have a lot of equity in your home, or you don't own a home, and you want to resolve a tax problem, then you should consider an offer in compromise, and maybe not a bankruptcy in this situation. One of the things that, like I said previously, that causes problems with offers is having a lot of equity, especially if the equity is in a property that's not your primary residence. But if you don't have a lot of equity, then an offer might be a good solution for you, right? That's worthy of a conversation. The last thing here, scenario number 7, has to do with the tax lien. If a tax lien is a concern for you, if the tax lien is the motivation for your watching this video or considering one of the other of the two remedies, then you should know that a bankruptcy, even if it discharges the tax debt, is not going to get rid of the tax lien. An offer in compromise, on the other hand, can potentially lead to the lien being released through that process. So that's something to consider. If the reason that you're going down this road, or you're considering one of these remedies or the other, is a tax lien, then a bankruptcy is probably not the way to go, because it's not going to solve the tax lien problem. All right, guys, look, if you owe back taxes to the IRS, you don't have to fight the IRS alone. I want you to download a free copy of my book, End the Tax Nightmare, Insider Secrets to Beat the IRS and Reduce Your Tax Debt. Jump over to www.endthetaxnightmare.com, plug in your name, your email address, and you can download a free copy of the book. Also, why don't you consider doing yourself one better and setting up a free tax strategy session where I can sit down with you and go over some of the best remedies to potentially help you solve your tax problem, how to get rid of liens and levies, how to get rid of wage garnishments, how to potentially settle your tax problem for less than you actually owe. Schedule your tax strategy session and we can talk about those things right over the phone. We can do them on phone or online from the comfort of your home. So you don't even have to leave your house. So there's no excuse. You can go over to www.legacytfp.as.me and schedule your free tax strategy session. All right, that's it for this week, guys. If you haven't already done so, please go ahead and subscribe to our channel. Make sure you hit the like button and smash that notification bell so YouTube will let you know each and every time we drop a new video. And of course, please don't forget to follow us on social. We are on Facebook as well as Instagram at Ice Cold Tax Pro. That's it for this week. Talk to you guys soon.